Hello and welcome to the From the Spirit World podcast, a legendary Avatar, The Last Airbender, and the Legend of Korra podcast for overlyanimated.com. This is the FTSW Rewatch, the definitive Avatar fans rewatch from the biggest Avatar fans you know. We'll be reflecting on Avatar and Korra 20 years later after being huge fans of both shows while they originally aired. I am your host, Dylan, and today I'm joined by Delaney.
Hey, y'all.
And April.
Hi there.
We are up to episodes 7, 8, and 9 of Book 3, The Runaway, The Puppetmaster, and Nightmares and Daydreams on the FTSW Book 3 Rewatch. We're going through all of Avatar Book 3, 3 episodes at a time. Each podcast, you can search for From the Spirit World or Overly Animated Anywhere to subscribe to either feed or our dedicated FTSW Rewatch feed to get all of these podcasts. We are not on video for Book 3, but you can go to youtube.com/overlyanimated to hear us there as well. We'll be in full spoiler territory for all of Avatar and Korra throughout this rewatch, regardless of what episodes are being discussed on the podcast. And send us your comments and questions anywhere you're listening. You can leave a comment or you can write us at podcast at overlyanimated.com. Check out our previous 2 podcasts on Book 3. It's been a good time. I've been recapping the old From the Spirit World podcast. That will continue despite my threats otherwise. So there's more of that later today. For this one, we are joined by our guest April, who is not originally from the Spirit World, but was on Book 2 as well, is on Overly Animated with me and Delaney. So the Ladybug crew's covering these episodes. Very exciting. But yeah, April, we've been talking about on this season so far how at the time, so it's different for Delaney. Delaney loved Book 3, so that's on the record. But some of us who are watching at the time, there's like huge expectations for Book 3, so we are not quite as high as. But I feel like it's a beloved season for most people. But for us, there's like these expectations of the final season, and are they gonna pay off all the story arcs and everything? But I want to hear from you because I believe if I remember correctly, April, you binged Avatar. You like weren't watching it when it originally aired, but soon
Yeah.
after you watched the whole thing. Is that right?
Yeah, so I didn't watch it when it originally aired. But I did watch it like years later. So like
Yes.
all of the episodes were out. It was more or less a binge watch, more than
Right.
anything.
So this is a good data point. So what did you think of this last season? If I were to say what's your favorite season of Avatar, would it be Book 3?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. I think just because like book 3 is like the culmination, it's like the end, right? So you're getting like payoff for things, like you're finally like you have to be doing something, which I mean, I get frustrated if like things just aren't happening. And so it seemed like there was a lot of more like impactful episodes, if that, I mean, not that there weren't like impactful episodes in like book 1 and book 2, but like
But you
we're
but you loved Book 3 when you were watching it originally.
yes.
Yes.
So because
And
I love having the full scope of things before we get into it. So like we had book 1, we had book 2, book 3, it's like, okay, here this is where it ends, right? And maybe that like does or doesn't work in its favor, because like watching it, I was just like, okay, there's book 1, there's book 2, and there's book 3, which the first time I was just like, wait, isn't there supposed to be a book 4? And I get it now. But
oh yeah, you were.
because like what one book for element, but it's fine. I'm a smart kid, I promise.
I feel like you were like subtly shading Ladybug earlier when you were like, "This is a show that actually pays things off in a reasonable amount of time and ends."
Time,
And
yes.
so
We're only
refreshing.
we're 6 seasons deep or whatever it is at this point.
Three seasons into Ladybug, and we were just getting started. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
teasing all these.
exactly. So, well, and like I was I wasn't even watching. Ladybug wasn't even a thing. It was a twinkle in our
Yeah, that's
eyes.
true. It's true.
But no,
Totally up there
so
at the time.
yeah, well, and then like they're like they did more like in book 3, like you see more of Zuko, which I always thought was like a, I'm gonna use the word strange. I don't mean it in like a bad way, but I was just like, okay, we've got this kid. What's he doing? Like, and so if you just give me snippets, I don't like that. I want everything, right? Which again probably is why I like Ladybug, because they just give you everything and then some. Um,
In some
but
ways. Okay. But yeah, so this is another data point in the I feel like people who binge Avatar, they love the ending, they love book 3. So but yeah,
yeah,
it was a different experience. We'll get into this when I recap some of the old podcasts, but that is interesting.
it I think too is like there's a difference between like when you binge watch something and then whenever you're watching it like week to week to week,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So like there's a different like anticipation, and there's like I say more room for speculation. You don't get to see things as
Yeah,
a
well,
whole.
right.
Yeah.
Well, think about we were watching week to week and we get the Runaway and Nightmares and Daydreams, like two like pretty inconsequential seeming episodes. Like I think it gets a little frustrating for us at the time back in 2007. It's like when are
Yeah.
we getting to the invasion? When are we getting to Zuko joining? So these are definitely it's an interesting group of episodes to talk about that in context with because yeah, there are more, and even the Puppet Master is not like even as celebrative an episode it is, it's not like super plot heavy for the show. So we get some pretty isolated episodes for here. As much as
I think
Nightmares and Daydreams leads into the invasion, but still.
yeah. Well, and I think they all have like really good points. Like yeah, they're inconsequential, but like they have good like they're still leading up to the end, right? So
Yeah.
like
Well,
especially
let's talk
like
as we go
yeah.
through them. Let's kind of let's hit on anything we think of that 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 we think is feels consequential now is leading up to it. But that's not obviously not also not the only marker of if they're good episodes. If you enjoy them, it's just kind of one lens we're talking about them there. Anyway, let's. I don't want to get too much in the beginning before we start actually talking about the three. So let's talk about, and then April we can continue as we get our thoughts on the specific episodes. The Runaway, Puppet Master, Nightmares and Daydreams. Delaney, what was it like for you rewatching these 3 episodes?
So I really enjoyed them. I remember originally when I watched, I didn't, I never liked when Toph and Katara fought,
Too
and
stressful.
so too
Mhm.
stressful. And I love Katara, I love Toph. So watching it now, this episode's hilarious. The Runaway is such a funny episode, like, and it's also really sweet, and it's really important to both of the characters and their relationship. And it's over. So I remember not liking it as much originally, and now I'm like, I love this episode. It's great.
I thought
Like
you would
it's
have
like
loved it originally.
no, it made me uncomfortable. I didn't like the conflict. I didn't,
Hmm.
now, it's a little bit different to watch and to know, you know, and also it's so funny to think back, like originally it's like, because and they play with you a little bit in the episode because it starts off and it's like, you betrayed me, and they're like,
Hmm.
that's not what happened, but like you have to watch it. And I mean, there's just so much funny stuff. We get hockey. Toph is like, I am blind. It sounds like a piece of paper, like just so funny. Some really sweet stuff about Katara. And this is really also and something you don't notice at the time is like this episode does really lead into the Puppet Master, like
Mhm.
things you did, because I remember I'm like, oh yeah, she bends her sweat, but you don't think about, oh, like, where is this going, like, and so this really leads into that. And then of course the Puppet Master, so like the Puppet Master is like a terrifying episode, and it's obviously less creepy now as an adult. I mean, it's still super creepy. Like, because what's creepy? So the episode's like scary if you're like a kid, but like what's really scary about the episode is not the episode; it's the bloodbending part. Like, it's not the ambiance of the episode that they're trying to sell you. The bloodbending's the scary part. And then what's really interesting is to watch this now after Korra, and like the legacy of this episode. Like, really, this episode is extremely important to the Avatar universe. Like, it's kind of crazy, like that wasn't like that, you wouldn't have thought that, like, this is like a foundational episode to like Avatar, like mythology and lore. Like, this has so many ramifications for Korra. And then I'm interested to see if will we continue to see its legacy in the Avatar movies and in the new show in Haven. And then also, I'm curious, how will this play out in live action? And then, so Nightmares and Daydreams, when you watched it originally, you're kind of like, this is a horrible episode. And you're like, this is stupid.
Not me.
So one, I was
Couldn't be
excited to
me.
watch it. And I'm excited to watch it because my favorite part of the episode is when Momo and Appa fight. It's so funny. Like, it's such a, like, and I also really like Aang's design in this episode. Like he, like poor guy, like he's just exhausted.
You relate to him being exhausted?
Yes. So now as an adult. So when I watched this originally, I was, like in middle school maybe, and I have always been an anxious kid. But like it was pretty clear that I had OCD by the time I was 7. But like not necessarily me aware of that. So like now having gone through like high school and college and an adult and to go back and watch, it's like they really captured that anxiety. And obviously Aang was like, this is the like and of course also with hindsight, like obviously I've watched it, like this isn't the end, like the invasion is not successful. He doesn't defeat Fire Lord Ozai. Aang doesn't know that yet. But like it's really like I think they do a really good job of capturing that, even though it's really funny. And when I think about it, I think they did a really good job of explaining this kind of very adult anxiety and fear in like a way that is that's still entertaining, but then also like it is funny that it doesn't make sense, but it kind of does. Like, but I understand why they did it, because like Aang has been to school for 2 minutes, so like it's funny that they're like, you're not wearing pants and you didn't study for your math test, which like obviously
he attends one day of school and even he gets school anxiety.
Right, understand,
which is super relatable. Like I'm almost 30 and I still wake up sometimes and I'm like, oh my God, I'm late for class. And then it's like, I'm not in school and I don't have homework.
Yeah,
like,
no, that's a thing that like we didn't understand as children watching it. Is like adults still get school anxiety dreams.
Yeah,
like it's wild.
My parents are in their 50s. My dad's like, I still have nightmares about trying to get into my locker. Like these are like, it's very real. And like, yeah, you couldn't comprehend this when you were 13, but like now it's like, this is extremely relatable and real. Also, I didn't understand the references they were making in the outfits. It's really funny now, like watching it, like looking at what they're wearing. Yes. and they're doing different styles. Like it's really funny. Like I think, and then the sheep are cute. And then I didn't understand, originally, but what they do at the end is really sweet, where they're like, we made you this bed, and like rip the sheep though. That was sad. Obviously the sheep are fine, but still.
Yes.
And then also there's like a lot of Katang in this episode.
Yes.
It's great.
Yes.
Oh, good. Love Katang. Yeah. So I had a great time watching these 3 episodes. I definitely like them more now than I did than when I originally watched. I think Avatar definitely, like, these episodes specifically, I think really benefit from a watch as like not just later, but as like an adult. Yeah, and after watching, I also think Puppetmaster, I don't know if you should watch it before. I guess if you're gonna watch Korra and you haven't watched Avatar, which is like bonkers to think about, but like Puppetmaster is like required viewing. I have to watch the Puppetmaster.
I guess for book 1, yeah. I don't. Yeah, okay. That's good. These are good points about the stuff like the dreams playing better, and that you were too young for the Puppetmaster. I feel like you were even younger than us when you originally watched.
Right? Yeah, I was. Yeah, I'm younger, so I was like, obviously, like you get it, like it's messed up, but yeah, you can't really comprehend the like it's so bad. Yeah, and then especially after to watch it in Korra, and like it's kind of incredible what this this is a foundational episode.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. April, what did you think rewatching these episodes?
I vaguely remember not enjoying the Runaway whenever I like first had watched it. And like,
you don't like the girls fighting.
And that's exactly it. And I still don't like the girls fighting because I am never an advocate for like girls versus girls for no reason, right? And it's also just really strange, like, because Sokka's like, oh well, Korra's like that because like she was forced to be a mother at like such a young age. You should like, it's not her fault, blah blah blah. And I'm like, no, that's terrible. That's a terrible reason for anything. Like,
also, like,
you shouldn't be excited about that.
Also, Katara's right the whole time.
Yes, that's like
they don't. they kind of do. I will say they don't really address that. Like Katara has literally been correct the whole time. She was right.
The whole episode. She's correct.
Katara foresaw all of our modern day gambling issues in our society.
Yes.
It's really funny. Like, I don't think you get it at first, like when you're a kid, especially as like Toph is really playing up being blind. It's really funny. Like,
oh yeah, they like lean into it really, really hard in this episode.
Really, really good. And then and it's also like there's the sheer number of like the scale. I will say my favorite is when she breaks the hammer thing. That's hilarious.
Yes. But so Runaway is what it is, but it does like lead into the Puppetmaster. The Puppetmaster is just straight up creepy, from start to finish. That Hama is not like she's one of those characters where you're like, there's something wrong with this woman, and then you come to find out, that's what's wrong with her.
Like, I want to know. I'm like, Mike and Brian, did you come up with this? Like, was this like a founding idea concept when you're like doing like, you can bend the elements and one of them is water? Like how long did it take you to be like, we're gonna do something really messed up?
I think there's an answer to that we could find. I think they would probably say yes, but
I need to know. Like,
it's like one of those things where like whenever you think about it, you're like, okay, water makes up so much stuff, right? And so it would only make sense, like, why has this not been discussed up until this point kind of situation? But again, I guess that's like the innocence of like children too, right? Like you wouldn't think about that.
I think that's another thing they play up in this episode that they don't necessarily do anywhere else other than when they literally make Aang go to school, is they're like, you're just kids wandering around. It's pretty strange.
Yeah. Like, I think this episode just like further exemplifies like, oh, you're just a child. Like, you guys are just children out on an adventure, and you would never even think, like, your innocence is so precious that you would never even think that, oh, blood is water. We could use that.
Like they're, and that's the other thing. It's also interesting to do blood bending in a show where we don't see blood. Like, even Zuko, we don't, like, even Zuko, who, I mean, has that's a horrific injury, that what happened to Zuko.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't really, like, I mean, obviously, the way we explore it is not, like, the way, like, another show would necessarily. Like, we do very much do it in a very, like, it's not about, I mean, it's about the scar, but it's not.
Yeah.
But then, like, this show doesn't really deal with, up until, like, book 3 of Korra, the most shocking thing that ever happened in Avatar was when they blew up the boat in book 1. Like, that was crazy.
Oh, yeah.
and then so, like, in a show that doesn't show blood, in a show that doesn't, like, to discuss blood bending at all is kind of like incredible. Like,
yeah.
And then and it does, I mean, obviously it's not graphic because it's not, but then I mean, we get that scene in this episode where, like, Sokka was going to kill Aang with his sword,
and he was even, like, coming at Katara at one point too, and she wouldn't have known unless he had yelled at her. So yeah, Puppetmaster, creepy episode start to finish. Nightmares and Daydreams, it's like funny in, like, the way that, like, you can look and see how terrible something is, and it's, like, hilarious upon, like, looking back at it, because it perfectly exemplifies, like, that performance anxiety, and it does it in, like, a fun way, which you can only imagine is how it would, like, manifest for a child.
Especially because, like, Aang, they're really just go, go, go the whole time. So, like, I understand the need to have this episode.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that's the other thing too, is that, like, I mean, we kind of like throughout, like, book 1 and book 2, they touch on, like, how important it is, like, he's the Avatar, right? But then, like, in book 3, they really drive home the fact that, like, hey, all of this rests on your shoulders, and that's that's so stressful. And
it's really funny when Sokka's like, yeah, he knows the deal. It's like Sokka yells at him. It's like, dude, you're not helping.
You're not helping the situation. But yeah, so like it's kind of almost like satisfying in the fact that like, oh, you get to actually see the impact of like that much like stress and
he
responsibility
needs
being
some
thrust upon
Xanax.
someone. Yeah, he needs.
Actually, he can have some Valium. Like,
I was like, Xanax, he needs something stronger.
he
So
needs like he gets some lithium for AIM. Like,
You're saying he
yes.
needed a psychiatrist, not just the therapy, right?
Not just the
no,
therapy.
he needed he needed the drugs part. Like,
He needs the drugs first, and then he can go to therapy. But I mean, it is like but it's fun. It's like, oh, this is another terrible thing that is taking place, but it's fun, right?
right.
Like each dream is like each nightmare is different. Like he forgets his pants, and then he shows up in the next one, and he's like, all his pants are like chained to him.
Also, I've also suffered I have legitimately not been able to sleep, and for similar reasons, and it's really
I thought you were going to say I've suffered from not having pants on.
I mean, I will reveal right now that I'm not wearing a shirt.
Nope, we don't want to hear it. Okay, at least there's pants. Okay, that's
at least
fine.
there's pants.
At least there's pants.
There's always pants. Legitimately, to have insomnia really bad, and then or to be so scared and anxious that you can't sleep.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been that delirious. Like, it happens. Like,
and to be like so stressed out about something that you're like, if I do this thing, like, then it'll be better, right?
And it is really real. Like it still happens to me. Like, oh, I had a nightmare, I don't want to go to sleep, or I wasn't able to sleep and I felt terrible, and then having that anxiety the next night, and then like the night after that. Like, it's very real. So
having a reoccurring nightmare, that's
yes,
the worst.
God, no, those are not fun. Like,
nope.
Yeah. Anyway, April, what do you is Puppetmaster? I mean, when you originally watch it now, do you think that's one of the best episodes of Avatar? I could see you really loving that episode, or do you think it's just good?
No, I do think it's one of like it's a good episode. Like, yes, it's very creepy, and it's a really good episode in my books. One of the best. I'm not entirely sure. That's a loaded question, but I mean, I really liked that episode, but I also like creepy things. So
yeah, that's why I thought it would be your jam. Yeah. Okay. Originally, I remember Runaway not being one of my favorites. I rewatched it. It definitely like has its moments. I actually think it was pretty similar to Painted Lady in that the end I think is really good, like Act 3. But there's some ups and downs through the other rest of it. It's just like very silly and does feel a little inconsequential at times. I thought this one could be one that would go up in my books, but no, I do think it's like probably one of the bottom episodes of Avatar. But there's a lot of good stuff in it. Like you guys said, there are a lot of iconic moments. There's Hawkeye in this, the Toph jokes. So I did find a lot to enjoy, but it didn't overall, I guess, work a ton better for me. But there is, I think the Katara mom stuff is interesting to talk about. Toph parents, but yeah, I think it's okay. Puppetmaster, it's obviously an iconic episode. Revisiting it, it's still really incredible. Like, it holds up. I think it is maybe even better than I remembered. I'm ranking this. Okay, in my current rankings, I move these around. I put the second right now of these episodes that I've read, so that up to this point. I might move that around. It was like top 10 before, but not quite that high. I thought it's like kind of a perfect episode of television, The Puppet Master. It's kind of incredible. Like, from the ghost story start, it does build up a little bit with like going through the house and everything in the town. So it's not like those parts are like so amazing and them investigating the mystery, but that final act, it's just kind of perfection. I think we recognized it at the time. Everyone loved this episode, but I don't know. This is truly like Avatar does one horror episode, and it's kind of perfect right away. Delaney, it kind of reminded me of that random Ruby horror episode they did. It's like, maybe we should do more of this if this is so good. Honestly,
it's like if you watch Doctor Who, and they did the Don't Blink, and they were like, we should capitalize on that.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, no,
the episode
is,
Blink,
and
yeah.
it is feels like that episode a little
I
bit.
would like to indicate that it was not me.
Who brought up Doctor Who? It's shocking.
It was not
Shocking.
me. I deserve a
It
medal.
was me.
Okay, and you're not going to follow up on it. You're going to be good and not follow. Okay, good.
I am really good.
I Puppet Master. The biggest con, I think, similar to the other great episodes of Avatar, rewatching them, is that it's very fast. I think it could use some more time. But this is a
Yeah.
function of us watching these long form episodes now on streaming services. So these 22-minute episodes where they like rush through this final act. I mean, Katara and Hama's fight, could the Hama teaching
Oh my God,
Katara
if
the
this had been an
techniques, the
hour,
fight.
This would be even like the scariest episode ever.
You
It
could
really-
have you could have easily had 3 episodes out of this, like one episode.
of these
horrifying.
length, yeah. So like it's similar to both of the finales up to this point that we've like. It's the only con really is just that it's like feels rushed, but it's also a function of us watching it now versus at the time.
Yeah.
Also,
I
the
didn't
horror
remember.
aspect I thought that they did a really good job about was it just kind of occurred to me is that they very much are like, yeah, it's a spirit, and then it's not a spirit, it's a person. Like,
Yes, I
Yeah.
think thematically that's extremely effective because first of all they overuse kind of the spirits
right.
being the
Yeah.
problem, but it just feels very real that I wrote down it's like it's not the spirits who are the villain. People are also bad and dangerous, and
Mhm.
yeah, I think that was a really important.
Well,
really
and it
good thing
kind of and it reinforces kind of where we go with Aang and Katara later in the Southern Raiders is that so obviously she is a victim of a horrible crime of like I mean they're basically this genocide also of like the waterbenders.
Yeah.
And for her and and she was locked up, it's horrible. And then I mean it's hard, you don't blame her, like she broke out. And I certainly her crime is not learning bloodbending and breaking out. Her crime was then to perpetuate that on other people. And obviously that's horrible. And but then to go through and it's like you like the like what like this how far people are willing to go, but then also like that's not right, like to continue it is not the point. And then Katara basically says that. And then also this is where Aang's like, I can't take another life. And so this kind of this is very much a thematic episode just for like book 3, like just we're kind of
I wonder how I'll react to the ending of of book 3 because I'll
Right.
say, I mean, I'll give my little speech now because I'm interested because Delaney brought this up. I reacted differently to the blood bending into this episode than the first time. I think this is Puppet Master's spiritual sequel to Jet. And
Yeah.
Hama
Yeah.
in this episode says, let me find it. The exact quote. She says, "We have to fight these people whenever we can, wherever they are, with any means necessary." About the Fire Nation. I think look, the biggest change is like politically looking back on Avatar. I feel like this episode as incredible. It's incredible. I think it's like kind of from the point of view of our like liberal like but ultimately like right wing minded society. It's like this episode has to say yes, people like Hama and the Southern Archetype shouldn't be oppressed, but the norms of how to behave are like even more important. I think that's what the episode's saying. Hama's oppression and the world's oppression on the Fire Nation is not worth it if we have to break our norms and bloodbend people. Hama says we should do whatever it takes. I agree with Hama now. Like, that's the big difference.
Right, yeah.
The episode presents it as villain logic, like when she says that.
Yeah.
Although I do think it's meant to be compelling what she's saying. I don't think it's like clear cut wrong. I think it's meant to be
Right.
compelling in the episode.
Mhm.
But similar to the episode Jet, rather than the show confronting a truly complex theme, like how far is too far if the end result is helping people, rather than confronting that, the episode takes the easy way out and has the morally gray figure do something so obviously wrong. Here,
Right.
Hama's terrorizing innocent villagers instead of people in power. In Jet, he's going to sacrifice this random town. So if you take those parts out of Hama and Jet going too far, and you'd have these thematic moments of our heroes being forced to confront methods that make them uncomfortable in the face of this daunting world crisis that they need to resolve.
Yeah, I mean, and it's interesting because the show does go to lengths to show that, like, because it's interesting because we have both in the Fire Nation. We have, people who, they are also suffering because of this 100 years of war. But then also you have people taking advantage of it and being, like, complicit. So the show does go to lengths on that end, but then yes, when it comes to resolving the conflict.
And I think I'm very interested to see how Korra handles this when we rewatch Korra. I feel like it's not going so far in the other direction either. But yeah, I mean that's kind of I really feel like I had the similar reaction to Jed.
Korra goes the other way in that, because it's political, but it's also about like, it's bending versus non-bending, which is different just because it's like you don't get to choose.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting. The whole thing. Yeah, book one, Korra, going to be super interesting to revisit in this context. But yeah, right. And here's what I wrote down. I think while a very high level, while Avatar is thematically rich, I think it's not truly complex because of things like this. It too often takes the easy way out, and like it's because it's a kid's show, but it's probably its biggest flaw, in my opinion, compared to the pantheon of the all-time great television shows, like up there with like your HBO like award-winning, like Avatar to me is obviously way up there. But I think this is, like, in my opinion, rewatching, this is like its biggest flaw is it doesn't go the next gear to have truly complex themes.
Well, and of course we can talk about it too when we get there, but it's like, it is a truly compelling thing where Aang is like, I cannot take another life. And then also, it's for Aang, he is the last airbender. Like, they completely wiped out his culture. Like, it's
I want to see how that plays for me now. That's going to be so interesting.
And then of course, and then of course, then the lion turtle, and it's like, okay, so like, this is really compelling, like this choice Aang needs to make. And even Zuko is like, kill my dad. And like, and Aang's like, oh my god. Oh my god. And then it's like, and then of course it's like, well, the lion turtle's like, oh well, you can just do this instead. It's like, okay, well, I kind of just took the wind out of that, but okay.
Yeah, no, you make good points, Lenny, that these themes continue into the finale.
I will say that is another thing. We were children when Avatar originally aired, and you would like the world to be this simple, and then now we live. I mean, the political landscape is like, it's still kind of similar to then, but then also way worse. And then like,
right, it makes you think if the new show Seven Havens is gonna adapt to our current time.
Right. And it's
Avatar it very much feels like a mid early 2000, like 2005-esque, like it feels like it's coming from that time in the political sense.
Like there are kids in college right now who could do like poli-sci like theses like on like Avatar Korra, like, and how it relates to like the political every art reflects the times, like always, all art reflects.
Yeah, by the way, a lot of people listening are like, no, I agree, you should never bloodbend people. And like, there's themes of like, you shouldn't take away someone's agency and without their consent. Obviously, you shouldn't.
And of course, there are other interpretations. Like, one interpretation would be that this is akin to rape. Versus, but then there's also, we're also talking about like a war, like, there's different ways, like we're discussing this more in the war aspect.
I also think the episode doesn't go deep on the taking away someone's agency. I think it could go further on that as well. It's another kind of thematically, but again, it's like 22 minutes, it's already jam-packed. But that is another aspect I think doesn't go super far. But yeah, the general thing is like, should Katara use bloodbending on an Ozai to stop him? Like, I think obviously yes. I don't think this episode thinks so. I think this episode would say no.
No. Well, that's the ultimate crime, and like the tragedy in this episode is that Katara has become a bloodbender against her will, which is also another interest in like she had to bloodbend to save Aang and her brother. Now,
by the
was
way,
that
part of the brilliance of this episode is that like horrifically depressing ending with Katara, just unmatched by any Avatar episode.
Yeah, and like obviously that would obviously save your brother and the Avatar, but then it's like you have become what you like. It on it like the ending of this episode is incredible, and then also like I mean this is horrible. Like Katara didn't want to do, now she's had to do it, and she does it again.
Yep.
In the Southern Raiders.
Yeah. So we'll continue this plot line, but it's such a good ending. I also wrote this down about Hama. I think I understand as horrific as it is, Hama like bloodbending these random villagers. I understand how she is acting, even if I don't think the episode explores it enough. She's just one waterbender, as powerful as she is, the only one left from her tribe. So how could she take on the entire Fire Nation infrastructure, even with her bloodbending? So I think she like she's exerting power where she can in her local setting to regain a sense of control and justice in her mind. And like, yes, it's very misguided, but I think I kind of like understand where she's supposed to be coming from with that.
I get it. It's also just it's so interesting too, because it's bloodbending is presented as like this is the ultimate thing you can do as like a waterbender, but
she doesn't kill anybody.
I mean, yeah, like she doesn't kill anybody, which I mean, I guess good on her. I don't know, but
I guess
I mean, it's one of those things. Like, I mean, if we wanted to, we want to talk to the layers here. She imprisons them like she was imprisoned.
Yeah, like which I mean, it's like one of those like, okay, you're just doing what was done to you, kind of like it. There's so many different layers of this episode.
Yeah. I mean, it really hit me at the end this time versus when I originally watched it, or even when I watched it more recently, is that in addition to Katara, she ends up back where she was. She ends up being imprisoned by the Fire Nation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sad.
Sucks
to suck. No, but her legacy lives on. No, but I think
she accomplished her evil laugh at the end.
Yeah. As much as I am criticizing in some ways thematically, I also think that part of this episode's brilliance is that it posits these thematic questions that I'm talking about now. So it still is a credit to the episode. I do think it's like one of the most complex. As much as I wish it goes further, it is one of the most complex episodes.
We know it continues on because this becomes extremely important in Korra, which is crazy. Like when you think about it. Like,
when you're watching Avatar at the time, bloodbending, as much as you're like, okay, you could blend the water and people, it's a concept I think people speculated on in the fandom at the time. I don't think it was like unheard of, but it does come out of, it's like, wow, the show would do something like this. This is like kind of wild that we go this far.
It feels like a step too far. Like
which is how the episode treats it. And I will say, as much as I'm criticizing it in terms of my views in a modern context, in the context of the show, I think it plays perfectly. Like it does feel way too far and everything. Yeah.
Well, and of course, it's one of those things too. It's like we haven't seen anything like it before, and then so it hits. Like it's like
it really hits. Yeah, yeah.
It really hits, and it's also one of those things that there's no way to present it in a positive light. Like, like. Okay, you can take other elements of like waterbending and it can be like a good thing, right? Like, but in terms of like bloodbending, like what's the good part of bloodbending?
And for it to be waterbending, I mean, you would also like, which we know can heal and brought Aang back. And like, and then for this, and then also I think they do an incredible job with what you see, like the motion of up and then down, like the way the bending actually is like shown in the show is insane. Like you like feel it, and of course the music in the episode, like it is like they're like we're gonna make this horrible.
The animation is brilliant. It's one of the most
so good. It's so something that completely went over my head originally, and then when it really hit me when I was watching it this time. When they're in the field of flowers. And she's like, that scene is incredible. Like, and I'm like this, like it's genius. This episode, because like you're a kid, you don't really care, you don't notice. Like to watch it now and to know what's coming, and then for like this, like she killed all of those flowers, and it's just like And even Hama says something that's like, girl, she's gonna mess you up. Like, you need to pay attention. Like,
Oh, because she says something like, "Oh, they're just like flowers. It's not a big
like
deal."
It's something, like you have to take water wherever you can. Like crazy. Like it's so good. Like, and the visual, like
Mhm.
and the flowers themselves, they say something like, oh yeah, these fire lilies only bloom like like every 2 weeks, like 2 weeks out of the year or something. And she just like, it's nuts. It's absolutely like, oh, it's so good.
Yeah, they incorporate all that stuff from the training into the fight scene. I particularly love the like exploding trees that they do to take the light out of them.
Yes, it's nuts.
I think Katara like flips her around at one point.
Oh yeah,
but
that's a scene I've always loved. Yeah, how she like flips her and that makes her fall.
yeah, it's a gorgeous fight scene, and yeah,
and the shock. There's the shock on Hama's face when that whole wave and Katara stops it with her hand.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
That's a great part too. And then Aang uses Aang and Sokka against her. You've outnumbered yourselves, and Katara's forced to stop them by bloodbending. Yeah, just perfect last few minutes to episode. Yeah, so there's all the arguments as to why this could even be the best episode of Avatar. Honestly,
yeah,
I think it's up there.
Yeah.
Nightmares and Daydreams. I didn't even get to my thoughts on this. Okay. When I tell you the visceral, I've described this feeling before. When I revisit a Katang moment in my mind that's iconic for me, just the visceral emotions to "Baby, You're My Forever Girl."
You're my forever girl.
Like it's not like I forgot about it, but just the scene, watching the scene again, I think it's like I genuinely think these Katang thing, the parts of the fortune teller, headband, came with lovers, even this scene, it's like the most emotional memories of my life, like watching these scenes.
I was so locked in, I forgot it was a dream. Like,
you were back there when y'all were like 12 again watching this.
Yeah, I was locked.
I wasn't.
I was like, oh my god. And then I remembered, and that's the other thing too that you don't realize is like this this is leading into the invasion, and when he kisses her then.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's so good.
It's one of those like moments you're so locked in, and then like as it's happening, you're like kicking your feet, and you're like, "Gee, this is great!"
Yes, literally. Oh my god.
And then you're like, "Oh, this is just a dream. I'm upset."
Also, a minute earlier when I mentioned that this episode has Katang in it, this isn't even what I was thinking about. I was thinking about when she's
what
like,
do you mean that wasn't what you were thinking about?
When she lays him in the bed. That's what I was thinking.
Oh yeah, she's
that's
just
nice
like,
too.
She's like,
but
go sleeps.
Like,
well, the part listening to myself in the podcast from 20 years ago, the part that I identified was
you hit new octaves.
Katang is like Katara's like using Aang's feelings to like try to get him to sleep in this episode. Yes. So Katara's like very aware at that point. That was like a big moment for me. I was like, it's proof Katara knows Aang likes him. I mean, she's probably known for a little while, but that was like tangible thing in the episode. But no, this dream sequence, iconic in my mind. Obviously not a real kiss or anything, but it goes in the montages, it goes in the screenshot for this podcast, obviously.
Look, it's real for Aang.
Yes.
And
it's real soon for Katara. But no, I think that this continues the theme that Delaney, that we've been talking about, of like, I think Katang is actually incredibly well handled by Avatar. It's been so consistent in season 3. Like they genuinely put something in, at least one thing in every episode. There's like some small stuff in the Runaway and the Puppetmaster. They're clinging to each other in the beginning. It's great. And and there's obviously all these parts in Nightmares and Daydreams, especially this. But they do build it up really well to next episode. So going to be excited to talk about that one. I just Nightmares and Daydreams, I feel like I'm higher on this episode than it should be, but it just leaves me with like such a warm feeling watching it. I think it is very funny and very warm. The Katang scene is incredible. I think there's a lot of good comedic moments. I thought I didn't like this episode, but I re-listened to myself, and I was the highest one on it in the podcast. I guess not surprisingly, because of the kiss. But so I was ready to be like, I like this one a lot more than original, but no, I liked it originally, and I like it now. So that's nice, I guess.
You're consistent.
Yeah,
yes.
there you go.
Oh yeah, and very funny episode.
Yeah. Oh, and the Zuko. I do like the Zuko parts more now. I think I do think it's too
God,
light.
he's
We'll
such
get.
a whiny baby.
Well, sure.
Like,
But
Yes.
oh,
the
I'm in the
like.
palace. Oh,
It's not. Him. He was the perfect son, but he's not. It's not him. I think it's a great. I think that's a
Yes.
great moment. I do think it's too light of a touch, which we'll get to with Zuko. But I do think this is kind of the best. I would argue maybe some of the best Zuko stuff of the first half of book three. Also, I think that this episode, like many episodes in book three, juxtaposes Aang and Zuko.
yes.
Compare it, like uses the
Yes.
thematically, but I think I would argue this is maybe the best episode at juxtaposing them because it's not so heavy-handed like the premiere and some other episodes. They're both dealing with expectations in their roles in where they are in the world, and I think it like really works, like kind of putting these two parts of their journeys side by side. Um,
Yes. Well, so there's
see,
Mako, and I'm always a fan of Mako. So
apparently you're no, there's good Mako
I'm
in
like,
this episode.
I'm like
Yes.
OG Mako shipper.
Who knew Delaney was a big Mako
I
shipper?
know. Who knew it would be
I
me?
did
I
not
don't know if
know.
this was part of the lore. I don't think so. It is good stuff with them in this episode. So yeah, I don't know. I think Nightmares and Daydreams. And Nightmares and Daydreams and The Runaway are both in the fray of like these are good episodes of, but not like super special of Avatar. They're in my good tier. There's like 20 episodes at this point, but Nightmares and Daydreams more towards the beginning, Runaway at the end. But I don't know. Runaway's tough to. I see what you guys have a lot of positive thoughts. It's kind of a tough one for me.
Also, I forgot the
Um,
really funny part where he's like, Appa's in charge.
Oh yeah.
yes,
That's
that's good.
hilarious.
Delaney loves Appa and Momo stuff.
Duh. Obviously.
I
It's
feel like I
also every
remembered
time
that
my
you
wife
like.
watches. Go ahead.
I feel like I remembered that you liked the Appa Momo dream, like them fighting.
It's so
Like,
funny. They fight each other. Like, and also it's like it's so unfair to Momo. He has 6 arms. Like, that's messed up. And then like also, I think part of it's also, and I mean, we'll talk about it more during the invasion. I love, 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 love Appa's armor. It's like the best thing that's ever happened. It is
good
so
job,
great.
Sokka. Then
Yes, it's amazing, and we do see some of it in this episode, in Nightmares and Daydreams. But no, they're gonna fight. That's hilarious. Like, it's like, and then it's also because they're making fun of like old movies. Like, it's really funny. Like, it's hysterical. No, I thought it was funny then, and I still think it's funny. Like, it's great.
good, good.
Also,
It's because you.
what's funnier than a talking animal? Nothing.
It's because you still have a child sense of humor. That's why.
I'm obsessed with Scooby Doo. Yes, obviously.
I don't know why that led into Scooby Doo. Okay, I was trying to burn you, but there you go.
No, you can't. We're
You
literally
can't.
on a podcast about cartoons. You can't burn me right now. Like,
No,
we're gonna
it's
talk
not.
about Ladybug in like 3 weeks. Like, you
Okay,
can't.
here's
It's,
my. I forgot. I was gonna ask you guys. I was gonna ask you guys to prepare for this, but what was my question gonna be? What's the most ladybug? Oh, what's the ladybug equivalent of "Baby, You're My Forever Girl"? That's my question. What's the Marinette and Adrian equivalent? What moment
well,
in
is it just?
Ladybug?
Well, there's. Well, I don't. Well, he always says "milady." I don't know. There's.
It's like yeah, it's like half of what Cat Noir says. Yeah,
Yeah, just
Yeah.
everything he says.
he says like bugaboo. Yeah, that's like basically Forever Girl.
Bugaboo.
And then of
Yeah.
course, I mean, Marinette has the stalker wall. Like, there's things here.
Yeah, can't discredit the stalker wall. Also, I think
Maybe first
unlike
the
unlike
first
the
Valentine's episode where they like fake, where they like kiss, but it's not real.
that I don't know why, but the
Mm.
first thing I thought of was remember the episode with the Sandman, and it was the
Oh,
kid,
yeah.
and it made their nightmares come to life, and I love that like Marinette's nightmare is Adrian.
Oh, it's
being
the
like,
babies.
oh, the babies.
Okay,
The
yeah,
big
okay.
one.
Scary
Okay,
dolls.
people don't know what we're talking about, but that's okay. There's a lot of good. These are all good ones. These are all good ideas. But yeah, the Ladybug. That's a good call by April. Ladybug does have a Nightmares and Daydreams equivalent.
Mhm.
They do.
Okay, let's talk about. This is the end, I would say, of the first half of book 3. So this is a somewhat infamous buildup in my mind because again, at the time, I was like, but the invasion is soon. Why aren't we doing things? Why are we doing all these one-off episodes? Right? Like, so that was, and if listening back to the podcast, that's absolutely what my reaction was the entire time. Like, why aren't things happening? So in retrospect, how did this all go down? So Zuko, um, Delaney, what do you think looking back on Zuko is ready to betray Ozai next next episode, 2 episodes from now? How do you think this is handled in book 3 now?
It's hard to say just because like I don't know if I don't really remember like I really liked Zuko in book 1, and then after that I was just deeply irritated by him, like growing up. So then like now, I mean, it makes sense. They lead into it. Like he was never happy to begin with. And he kind of betrays his uncle for like nothing. Um I mean, I don't think it's handled poorly. I mean, they probably could have given the thing is like I think we spend so much time with Zuko in book 2, and then it's kind of interesting how they don't spend as like obviously he joins the gang in during the Western Air Temple, and like he's there from then on. But like
Zuko's not in the Runaway and the Puppetmaster.
yeah, that's the thing. It's like
Yeah.
it's really interesting that like we spend so much time with him in book 2, and then like in book 3, like we are very much leading up to him like defecting, but then like but it's not as much. Like, we're not with him as much as we are in book 2. It's interesting.
It is interesting.
It also doesn't feel as I don't know, like in book 1, he's very much like, I'm gonna capture the Avatar. I want my father's approval, like that type of thing. And then he gets his father's approval, and
like maybe we should have had 1 or 2 more. Like maybe this episode really needed another Iroh visit.
Yeah, maybe because
or something.
You it's like it feels like okay. Knowing what I know, it feels like it's not like built up as appropriately as it should be, and this only feels like it's just like a drop in the bucket of like Zuko being like, I'm gonna betray my father kind of thing, or like go against my father, and you almost want it to be a little bit more like in your face, if that makes sense.
That's how I felt at the time, but I think the question is, are we more open to the subtleness of it now, at least in book 3? Because Zuko in book 2 is very in your face.
Yes.
I think Zuko very celebrated book 2 arc. I think most people celebrate him into book 3, but I think we had issues with it at the time. Like I described earlier, I think it's a very light touch with Zuko here. And
it's
to be
so
honest,
light.
I kind of, in some ways, I appreciate it compared to the heavy-handedness of book 2. Here's the biggest pro I can say. I really buy in Nightmares and Daydreams upon this rewatch. He says like, it's not me. I really buy it. Like I think it works. So
I think it works in retrospect, though.
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
Well, because like at the time, okay, whenever I first watched it, like I never really got the sense that like Zuko was going to like go against his father, right? And so, and then it almost, and maybe that's just like a byproduct of like binging things too. So you like, again, you don't get to like really like feel the impact of an episode or like what's happening before you are like thrown back into the next one. But like it felt like very out of nowhere, whereas like now, knowing what I know, I'm like, okay, I see the hints of it, but again, it just feels like hints. Like I almost wanted it to be like in my face, like.
Well, like honestly, they should have. I mean, to have built up this. He has gotten everything he has ever wanted.
Yeah,
and he's unhappy. I think they should have done more with it. They should have spent more time with him in the palace and more. I think that was probably that was a miscalculation. But they should have done I agree. I do appreciate the light touch, but I also April's right. Like it's obvious now, having lived through it all. Like now that we've lived through it and we go back. And well, it's kind of like, when people finish Avatar and they're like, oh, Katang came out of nowhere. No, it didn't. Go back and watch.
No.
Which, to be fair, I never felt that way, but also I'm not like delusional.
Honestly, Katang is a good parallel to, or it's a good example as well. They are a little subtle with things in Avatar.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a lot of the Katang buildup was maybe too subtle for people. It's interesting.
Which I think with Zuko, there's nothing wrong with subtle, but I think it doesn't pair well with who Zuko is, because books 1 and 2, he is obnoxious. Like he is he is like, my honor, blah blah blah. So it's like it is a miscalculation at that point to do the light touch. So I do think they do the light touch well, and like when you watch it as an adult, and like it's different.
I was gonna say it's also it almost feels like we know what his unhappiness is, but like just watching the episode at like surface level, it feels like he's just being a brat. And I know that's not the point that they're trying to get across with it. And so I think that I agree with Delaney that it's a miscalculation. They probably should have shown us more.
It'll be interesting how they're going to do it in the live action, because the live action is seemingly focusing a lot on Zuko and Iroh.
Yeah, you can't really do the light touch when you're trying to ramp up all those parts. That's interesting. I'm really torn. Certainly when we were kids, the subtleness did not work for me with Zuko. I was unhappy that they didn't focus on it more. That being said, and watching it now, I still like. I think what they did with Zuko this season does build up to his actions in the invasion. I think it is built up well, and his stuff in Nightmares and Daydreams was a great, very soft climax.
Soft launch.
Soft launch.
And we have to balance things too.
A small hill. So I think I think all that is good. On the other hand, what did they do with the time that they did not spend here? I don't necessarily think it was spent incredibly well outside of I don't think they did a lot of plot stuff. I mean, Puppetmaster was a good use. On one hand, Puppetmaster, not super plot relevant except for a few things, was a really good use of the time. On the other hand, basically every episode before it, except for the headbands, I think could have been a better use of time in various ways. Every episode accomplishes something. So I don't know. I'll just say this. I am appreciating the Zuko first half of book 3 stuff more than I did at the time. That is a big change from original watching.
Yeah.
Delaney, how about, do you agree with me when I say in retrospect, Katang was actually built up really well? There's a lot of subtle things. Are you seeing it that way rewatching these episodes?
Yes. So I do want to say I have never been one of those people who was like, no.
We've discussed on the podcast that Katang's great. It wasn't as well handled as like Marinette and Adrian as Luzin and Amity. I actually think it kind of is now. I mean, it's not maybe as prominent as those, but it is really as well handled.
No, that's my thing, is they have seeded it well. And honestly, it is a beautiful love story. And I don't even mean that in the because I ship Katang really hard, and I have since I was 9 years old. That won't change, because both of those statements are true. It is seeded everywhere. We have big moments, we have little moments. It is there. And some of that, I think, is what makes book 3 so frustrating, which we'll get to it, talking about the kiss and the invasion, and of course the infamous Ember Island players. What we see.
That's the next step, is how do those big scenes play? That's the next step in the journey.
And it's I know it definitely, it's there. I mean, to watch it and to that's one of those things, what to look for, but it's there. Oh my god, it's almost every episode. They are being super cute, being Katang the whole time. I have never been more certain in my life that Zutarians are crazy.
Well, let's go to April as a non-original Katang shipper. Are you?
Of course.
Any thoughts on this, April?
I think that it's very subtle, but it's there, right? You get the actual hints of it. And whenever I first watched it, obviously the show had already ended. It had been years. But I still didn't like know that they ended up together, and it was always one of those things where I was just like, well, if Katara can't end up with Zuko, like Aang's obviously the next best choice because that's who I was at the time. I wanted
My
Katara and
condolences.
Zuko.
Oh.
But so it was one of those things where it was just like, but like in the context of like what is going on, like it has to be like hinted at and subtle, and I say small even though it's not, right? Because
Yeah,
I think that
outside of the major episodes, it's pretty
yes,
small. But
it's
yeah.
pretty but also I think it's such a good like example like of what like relationships could and kind of should be modeled after. Like you should be friends with the person first, right? Like you should get to know them. And I'm not saying like go off on an adventure and trying to defeat the Fire Lord to figure out if you really should be with someone or not.
I mean,
But
that'd be ideal.
we don't have enough Fire Lords for this, okay?
Well, in our modern world, there's plenty of Fire Lords. Let's be real.
Look, yes, but also
we just can't one cannot simply go on a journey to defeat such.
yes.
Yeah. We just
One cannot simply, but so in a sense it feels very real in that regard, because again like that's how like a relationship is. I mean, like strong relationships, not that like a fast-paced relationship doesn't work, but also like I don't know, it feels
Also,
really
this-
like realistic and like I don't know, comforting. Like you got to know each other first. Like you didn't like get together because a tragic thing was happening. It wasn't rushed, and which I know sounds
we
crazy.
watched them fall in love, which isn't something necessarily that all shows do.
Yeah, like you get to watch. Like even I mean, I love Ladybug, but season 1, Marinette is obsessed with Adrian, right?
Right.
Like, and and even
And
like
you know,
her,
Aang has a big crush on Katara, but there's no stalker boards
yeah,
involved.
but there's no stalker boards.
I mean, he probably would if he could. Let's be real.
But also, like, it kind of like his crush builds, right? It's not like you're being thrown
and
into
it builds
the waters.
it builds into real feelings, and that's kind of one of the subtle parts. Yeah.
And even like I was gonna say, even at like the end, they're like, "This is not the time for a relationship," and I'm like, "Yes, I agree."
Nice. I'm looking forward to that. The one I think originally I thought of Katang like a Losing Amity in the Owl House, where it's okay. Every three episodes is like here's but in retrospect, that's actually one of the things I most appreciate about Katang is it's every episode. It's not one of these shows where we only get to see them interact every few episodes. This is a consistently presented romance. I think that's where it compares favorably to most other TV relationships. It's really something that's always there. Their relationship is always building, and I do think these episodes find good small ways to show that.
I think that's the like best way to describe that is that you get to watch their relationship grow, not just their romance, because like and like romance is great and all, but I like the relationship building because romance can only go so far, right? Like the prince saves the princess and then what? Like
right.
That's supposed to be like the one thing that like determines how the rest of their lives are supposed to go. And I know that's like a terrible like way of saying that, but
I mean the best parts of Marinette and Adrian are like not the Marinette's crazy crush parts. It's once they actually become friends and are actually interacting together. Those are the parts everyone loves, you know. So I think we see that in Ladybug and see that in other shows too. But I think honestly, I think you could argue Avatar is one of the best examples of a television show that does that.
Katang and like Ron and Kim from Kim Possible are like the blueprint.
Of course you would.
Oh yes,
it's important to bring it up.
I think that's probably a good comparison. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna continue. So those are two big things that will happen in the next 2 episodes. So I wanted to check in on Zuko and Katang. I wanted to check in on these. How about first half of? I'll circle back to some things we missed from the 3 episodes. What's our verdict on the first half of season 3? It's so tough for me. Like I've been saying, I will say I still think it's not as good as the first half of book 2. I don't think that's really changed for me. By the way, on these podcasts, I've been doing the 1-to-1 episode comparisons because I actually think the beginning of book 2 and book 3 are similarly structured. You can compare like it's not necessarily episode 1, episode 1, episode 2 to episode 2, but a lot of them are. The Runaway equivalent in book 2 is definitely the chase, which has the Katara versus Toph stuff. The chase, I think, is a far superior episode. I think that's one of the big reasons why the beginning of book 2 would be better. Just because I feel like the chase does so much more. It just feels so much more consequential. It has the Zula gang chasing after them. That feels very important. And it also has, it's just like very fast paced and they're facing off against each other. That's one episode that really stands out on this rewatch. Whereas the Runaway, they're doing just this conning stuff and it's very silly. And the biggest thing though is the Combustion Man is just does not feel consequential plot wise.
No.
Versus Azula chasing after them does feel consequential, and Zuko chasing after in season 1. So I think that's a big comparison. Puppetmaster doesn't really have an equivalent in the rest of the show, I would say. So that's a uniquely great thing about book 3. And then Nightmares and Daydreams, I guess it is kind of the bitter work of the season, or no, I guess it's not. I mean, there's some training.
Obviously it's not in the same place, but I would compare it to more consequential, but I mean, I would say the biggest comparison would be Tales of Ba Sing Se.
Yeah, it is maybe a tale, or not Appa's Lost Days-esque.
Or Appa's Lost Days, yeah.
Yeah, so it's okay. But I don't know, you compare the first 9 episodes of book 2 to the first 9 episodes of book 3. I still don't think it's really a contest in my head. Delaney, what do you think about that?
So I disagree with you. And so for me, and I think part of the reason why I love book 3 so much is it's because book 3 is so much character work. We do so much character work, and it's among the character, and it's like not just characters, it's also their relationships with each other, like what April was saying. So the chase, it does feel more consequential, but the Runaway is a big episode for Toph and Katara's relationship, and honestly, and we even have a big Sokka emotional moment. Like these episodes, I think, we get to, there is stuff to do in book 2, and obviously there's stuff to do in book 3, but also we're having some downtime with these characters, and that's, this is what makes Avatar is these incredible characters and their relationships with each other. Like, this is a family, and like doing what they're doing like together. And I think that's, for me, is like what I think is what sells book 3 so much to me.
Yeah. So I think you make a great point that book 3 is very character heavy. We called it filler at the time on the podcast. Right. We'll talk about it. And it's so funny on the podcast. I listened to myself say, book 3 is not the time for character development. It's the time for plot. That's what 14-year-old Dylan was saying. So that was like what you're saying, Delaney, is emblematic of my frustrations at the time with book 3. But I think you're so right that they were focusing on character development. And now I don't as much think that book 3 needs to be as like I appreciate what the show is doing more with the, like, in some ways, if you're climaxing all the plot in your show and paying everything else, that's the time to most have all your character development.
Make everybody cry.
So
it feels appropriate, all of the character development being in the first half of the last, like, season 3, because
if you look at it just as a season, this is the development portion of it.
Yeah, this is like the development portion of it. Also, because in a way, these, like you said, they could feel like filler episodes, but some of these things are called back later, right? Like in terms of like the characters.
They do have each of them have aspects that are definitely referenced pretty quickly, yeah. Yeah, I like what you're saying, April, of looking at it as the season. It's like the beginning of the season. And I think that's probably how they're looking at it, writing it. But if you're looking at it as an epic fantasy show, like, this is, like, I've been comparing, this is the last season of Game of Thrones, we need to be doing all the stuff, then that character stuff doesn't play as well. So it really kind of depends the lens in which you're watching it.
Yeah. I also disagree on that end, though, because yes, epic fantasy show. Game of Thrones, you have to introduce your characters and go. Here, we're also talking about a group of people who have been traveling and learning about each other. So it makes sense that now we're getting these big relationship moments at the end.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think that's what they're going for.
It's also a smaller cast of characters too.
Yeah, no, I was just talking about the difference between
Yeah.
how Game of Thrones has to function, like when you introduce 47 million characters and then you go forward versus like this, our group.
I think the first half of book 3 plays better for me than it originally did in terms of the plot expectations. I appreciate the character stuff we're talking about more. I think this is a good discussion. I still think the episode quality could be stronger, but it's book 2 is a very high standard. But that being said, I mean, one of these 3 episodes is the Puppetmaster, which is kind of the GOAT. So it's there's incredible stuff here. I think the headband's the GOAT. There's at least 2 episodes which I absolutely revere in these 9, and then there's that's kind of how it is for me. These first 9 episodes, there's 2 episodes which I think are 2 of the best episodes of TV of all time, and then there's 7 episodes which I want to like more than I do, each for different reasons, but each are also great in their own way. Still, even if personally I wish I connected with them more. As a summary. But I think it's going to depend for each person. I want to hear we heard for the pro book 3 argument from Delaney. I want to hear from comments like, where do you all agree? Because we had such a specific perspective. Most of us on the original podcast have this kind of warped view of book 3. What do you guys think of this view of the first half of book 3, and how does it play for you now? Anyway, let's hit back on. I think we kind of basically covered the Puppetmaster recap, but the other 2 episodes we could dive into a little more. The Runaway, I feel like we mentioned it, but the Katara mom stuff really stood out to me. Like you're mothering me and the like stop rubbing your eye, Aang, or right, like
that was so funny.
You act like our mom and boss everyone around. Yeah. I feel like we're just really putting into, because people think of Katara as the mom of the group looking back and everything. I feel like this episode is pretty important to this view in retrospect of Avatar of this. This is like a pretty, I agree with Delaney. It's like a pretty foundational episode for this Katara. I guess my issue with this is it's very unsubtle with the way it approaches those other episodes.
Yeah.
With Katara mom are more subtle, but that being said, I appreciate bluntness in a lot of aspects from episodes, so I'm a little torn on it. But yeah, it is very in your face with the Katara stuff, and we talked about in the desert. That was a big episode of Katara leading the group and in this Katara mom journey. So I don't know. I'm also torn on this. I do like that we kind of approach it head on here.
Well, I don't necessarily think the show does a good job. I mean, so on the one hand, it's like, okay, yes, but it's like she does it because she's such a caring person, and she wants to take care of everyone.
Well, I think one of the best moments of the episode, Katara overhears Toph and Sokka talking about that. So I think the episode does eventually get there. Yeah.
And then also it's funny, like I don't think Toph talks about it a little bit, but it's like, I mean, both of them literally just boss everybody around. It's really funny. Like it's Katara and Toph is like they're in charge.
They run.
Like they're following Sokka's plan, but like it's Katara. Like they're like Aang's like like whatever they say. He's like, yep. And that's also what Sokka's gonna do. Like they could just bend him into like wherever and just leave him somewhere. So
they could just leave him somewhere.
like they're just like, bye, Sokka.
I forgot about them mud wrestling in the beginning of the episode.
It's so good.
It's
kind of iconic.
It's really funny, like, because Aang is like, what's going on? And it's because they're fighting each other. It's so funny. Like, when they go right at each other, like, it's so funny. Yeah. Like, for no reason.
Aang's like, I thought we're supposed to be training me. I have in my notes, why are we just getting to the elemental training in episode 7 of book 3? This is the first. It's like the first training episode of the season.
Funny.
We criticized the Netflix show for never showing him learning waterbending, but like honestly, Avatar doesn't have a lot of training episodes. Like,
I mean, it's very background information.
And at some point, and in Nightmares Dreams, Aang's like, I haven't even learned firebending yet, and they're like, it's not important. Like,
yeah,
okay.
The sun's gonna be blacked out. You don't need to know how to do that. Like,
yeah, I guess we'll get there in the second half of the season.
Yeah,
so funny.
Yeah, that is one thing I would criticize. I do think they do a great job of character work in book 3. I mean, like, we could do more training stuff. We do forget about some things while we're doing these kind of one-off episodes.
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, that being said, we mentioned the scamming montage with the strength, the like hitting the hammer strength game. The Toph getting hit by the cart, and I think the Sokka as the cop and the money piling up on him until he
Yes.
That was
winks. I
really
think
funny. Oh my
that's
god, no,
iconic
the getting
moment.
hit by the cart is so funny.
Sokka's like impersonating a Fire Nation police
Yes.
officer. Like,
It's
isn't
so
this way
good.
too risky, Sokka? Like,
I love it. Why not?
They're already like hanging out in Fire
Look,
Nation villages and stuff.
Double
Like,
look, they
impersonation.
tricked that principal. I don't see the problem.
yeah,
no,
they literally have they don't care about the risk. Like,
Everyone is like mega stupid. It's fine.
They get Sokka gives him the Sparky Boom Man name, and then later I think we get the Combustion Man name.
Well, it's so funny when Aang's like Sparky, like, oh, shut up, Aang. Like,
he was using the name he knew.
Also, it's so funny that like Katara and Toph are like, all right. And it's like you can't leave those two boys alone. They're stupid. Like you can't. Well, it's like my favorite. I mean, obviously, like when they send the letter, it's so funny. Like y'all are so. I think
stupid. That's my funniest comedic moment of the episode. It taps into that moment. The okay, so Sokka, they're like, we'll send a message from Katara from Toph apologizing. It's like, oh, I forgot Toph can't write.
Smart.
And Aang's like, I think we're gonna run into a similar problem with
like the other one's like, y'all are stupid. Like it's so.
It really
like,
that episode is emblematic of the 2005 era. Like dumb males comedy,
yes.
like of a like Step Brothers is the best movie for that. But like it really taps into that comedy style. It's really good.
You're so dumb. It's great.
I do love dumb Aang and Sokka moments. It's really good. The other really funny thing is it sounds like a sheet of paper, but I guess you're referring to what's on the sheet of paper.
She does it twice. She's like, I can't see what's wrong with people. It's so funny.
It is very funny, and we're tracking the Toph blind jokes. That's another one where Toph makes the joke herself. So I guess that's good.
It sounds like a piece of paper.
Yeah. We have Hockey, who's I feel like people talk about Hockey like he's in like a lot of episodes.
He's a huge character, okay?
Yeah, like not really.
Yeah. But also he goes away immediately, and Sokka's like, "Where's Hockey?"
Yeah, no, Hockey's.
Like, we just borrowed him. Don't worry about it.
Oh,
I just love like Sokka's just like, now I can write letters to people, and I'm like, who are you gonna write letters to? Like,
Fran, obviously.
Yeah, I mean that would be nice.
Right.
Call your grandmother. And I mentioned the scene of Katara overhearing. Katara's bathing and overhearing Toph and Sokka, and then that's a sweet scene. And I do think when we get to this part of the episode, it's really good.
So sweet.
On the podcast, we're like when we're 14 on the podcast, I'm like Katara bathing. Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. She was naked in this episode. Like
oh my god.
Like yeah, I remember, and I remember them mud wrestling in that context as well. Like, oh wow, being a child.
The mud wrestling is so funny. It's just like hilarious.
Funny. Yeah. And then everything with the climax of the episode, Combustion Man. There's some really good action with Combustion Man too, but it's very quick. They like hits them with the little pebble. I think that's kind of an iconic shot as well.
Oh yeah, that's real good. And then it's so good.
And then
just another thing, it's so crazy that we get another combustion person like in Korra. It's nuts.
Excited. And then Toph wants Katara to help her write a letter to her parents, and they send that to Hockey.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I thought that was a really good culmination of the Hockey gag, and then incorporates into the emotional heart of the episode. Yeah,
it's really good.
Okay, I have this written down in my notes. Why can't I know Toph can't bend wood, but why not? Why can't Earthbenders bend wood?
Because it's not.
Because they're trees.
Yeah.
Trees is Earth. Trees comes from Earth.
But
Crimps is bugs.
But if you think, okay, trees grow in the earth, yes, but they are not a part of the earth.
They're not Earth. Oh my god.
But why? Why not?
Because they're not. And wood, okay, and lumber
why
is
can
even,
Toph bend
even
metal,
more
but she
removed.
can't bend wood? Like wood, metal's so much harder to bend than wood.
And I'm not.
Like,
okay.
Lumber is even more.
I was the target, and it didn't work.
Yeah, I'm trying to get Delaney upset. That's not.
And it didn't work.
I'm upset.
Like you caught a stray. April.
Trees is Earth. Trees is Earth. Okay.
Trees is Earth. Shrimps is bugs.
I guess the swamp benders bends the water in the plants. So
plants.
I guess plants maybe Katara bends trees in the next episode. So
yes.
Okay. I guess that kind of makes sense.
And
That being
lumber
said,
wouldn't
I
have
feel
any
like
moisture inside of it, so and she hadn't yet learned that she could pull water from. So yeah,
And
the
they can,
wood.
to
but they
me,
can both,
wood is earth, but I don't know.
but
Maybe
they
it's
can
mud.
both bend mud, which is interesting.
Yeah, I like that. They separate it in the another
Yes.
episode. Yeah. Nightmares and Daydreams. We talked about the pants. Oh yeah, this line always cracks me up. And this time I brought pants, so it seems. The like Fire Lord is. I don't know. For some,
Funny.
I've always
Like,
loved that. So
so
it
funny.
seems, and you're not
So
ready
it
for the
seems.
mathematics test.
How does he
So
even know
good.
about math?
Right? They don't. I
Great.
don't think they.
Yeah,
He
right.
We
went
talk
to
Like,
about.
school for one day, and I don't think they taught
I'm,
math. It was just
maybe they
history.
did, and they just didn't show it. Who knows?
Maybe.
We talked about Sokka being a therapist, so this is the one episode Aang goes to therapy. I guess this is
Oh
revolutionary
yeah.
for 2007.
I
That's
really
good.
like where he's like, "Tell me about the Fire Lord." It's like you're so stupid. Like, I guess we all feel like that sometimes. Like, shut up. It was really
Yeah,
funny.
Sokka says life does feel that way sometimes. Like we're all trying to save the world from
Like,
evil.
like it does. Like, okay, guys.
Shut up, Sokka.
Literally.
Try screaming
I
into
also
this
feel like
pillow.
when he's like circling the sheep, it's like, what were you gonna do, Aang? Like,
He doesn't know.
Yeah, I love the koala sheep there.
they're great.
Oh yeah, and then at the end, no Fire Lord is you're not wearing pants. No, my royal parts are
Oh,
showing.
parts. Yeah, my royal
Yeah,
parts. That
that's
was
iconic.
Royal parts.
It was
Yeah.
real good.
Okay. Anything else from the episodes we didn't talk about before we get to the podcast recap? I mean, we didn't talk about Hama bending the rats and the backstory for her in the Southern
That's
Water
really what
Tribe.
adds. That really is what adds how creepy it is. Is like you see the rats and you're like, oh god. And then she's,
You know what?
and then a really scary line. She's like, and then I moved to the men, and it was like Jesus.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
But
that's
like,
good.
but you know what? Good for her for following appropriate procedures when it comes to testing out new things. I
you're
mean,
right.
not appropriate, but
she was very
It's the
much following the
scientific,
that's
yeah.
the
method.
that's the
Like,
scientific thing is they
when she was doing it.
they experiment on animals first, unfortunately, and then they move on to human subjects. So good for her, I guess. I don't know.
I guess good for her. I really like this part of with Aang and Sokka, another dumb Aang and Sokka moment, but this reeks of Spirit World shenanigans. Sokka, sew this up lickety split, Avatar style. Aang, helping people. That's what I do. I think that's like an iconic line. The helping people. That's what I do. But yeah, like I said, I love that it's not that it subverts the Spirit World shenanigans. Um, so
And even and
Because
yeah,
people
talked
can
about
be
Aang is
terrible
like,
too.
and Aang is like, this is like a beautiful place. What I don't understand.
Sweet Aang.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's get to the I recapped earlier from the Spirit World podcast. Okay. So we
Here you are,
have
Sid.
yeah, here you are. I mean yeah, all our the fan favorite I guess part of this. So we have podcast 17 from November 11th November 4th, 2007. So that's where we are, 2007. Me
Jesus
with
Christ.
Jake, Joe, Jody, Mel, AJ, Ruth, and Abby and Ruth.
That is
So
way too many people. Oh my god.
7
That's
co-hosts.
so many.
We were recording
Jesus
at
Christ.
Friday at midnight. So which I thought we were always recording at midnight, but this is apparently the first one where we're doing the late night recording. And I claim that it's so we can have more people on. But I know it's just so no one hears me. But I guess people are more available at midnight when we're when we're in high school.
Yeah.
No
I
Kevin
remember. I mean,
segment here.
God, I don't miss those.
Okay, so I was really out on I was too embarrassed listening to myself at 14. I couldn't do it anymore. But then I started listening to the beginning of this podcast, and in the background, I play. I had no memory of this. I played "The River of Dreams" by Billy Joel during the intro to this podcast because we're doing a late night recording, which is in the middle of the night. So I don't. Why did I? This is the only time I've ever played a real song in the in the podcast.
I love it so much.
Like I guess
Like, what's
I
wrong with
shot.
you?
I was definitely an old soul when I was a teenager. Like I felt like like an adult already, but yeah, I had all these old tastes, I guess. So yeah, I play that song there. So that really brought me back in. Okay, Dong Wufang Avatar news. So these episodes aired early in the UK. We covered that before. They leaked early. They aired earlier in the UK. I said the ratings, they're not ideal, but those of us who have no life are watching Avatar at 8:30 on Fridays, but other people they're out. Apparently
That's
there's
true.
classic. There's apparently there's going to be an all-day SpongeBob marathon leading up to the Day of Black Sun premiere. More on that in the next podcast.
God, this is the most 2007.
Talking talking about I was talking about the delay until the next episodes after. So after Day of Black Sun, we didn't know when the second half of book 3 would air. Mel said, "Watch it be another 10 months." Me, it's not going to be another 10 months. Narrator, it was 8 months, so it was almost 10
Narrator,
months.
it was 8 months.
It was 8 months, so I was wrong. I thought it would be back in February, but it was back in July after Day of Black Sun. So that.
Oh wow.
We'll talk about that more. I said I've only watched this episode now since I watched it legally. I said usually I watch it 3 times for the podcast, but I didn't. I only watched it once, The Runaway. So it's like, wow, times have not changed. I still try to watch the episode multiple times for the podcast. And I also said I didn't feel like watching it on Nick 2. Who remembers Nick 2? Nick 2 is
yes.
Nick 2 is the Pacific airing of Nickelodeon.
Yes.
It was three hours delayed.
This.
So I could have watched it a second. So we were doing this like 4 hours after it aired. I could have watched it a second time on Nick 2, but I chose not to. But yeah, I forgot about Nick 2.
Jesus Christ.
I said this is a pointless episode because Toph and Katara were on good terms before this episode and are good terms again after the episode.
That was another problem that I had because I was like, we're fine. Why are we mad at each other?
It does come out of nowhere. I don't agree with myself from 14 here, but it does like suddenly there's conflict.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how TV works. I was struggling. Yeah, as I said, I was struggling with not plot relevant episodes close to Day of Black Sun. I said I think Zuko should be doing more leading up to him against Ozai. Yeah, we talked about that. I shoehorned in some naked Katara discussion as mentioned.
Of course you do.
Proud of you.
We mentioned the hidden Zutara was mentioned, but there was no segment. More on that later in the next podcast. You can't develop characters when you only have 14 episodes left, not enough times. That's what I was talking about. I didn't appreciate the character development in book 3. If this was for the Runaways in the first 4 episodes, I would love it, but now I don't love it. So that was my point. Which like we talked about, I don't agree with as much. I was out of 10. I was the lowest on the episode with a 6.5 out of 10. Mel gave it an 8 out of 10. There you go. Let's talk about From the Spirit World podcast 18 on November 10th, 2007. It was me with Jake, Jody, Mel, Joe, and Ruth.
Less people.
I said everything in the thoughts segment last podcast. Okay, so I didn't listen to the whole thing. So I had a thoughts segment and I didn't listen to it because I can't. Everything in the thoughts segment was just speculation. People were apparently mad at me because they thought I was like speaking from spoilers. I'm like, no, it's just speculation. It's 12 a.m. again. In the Dong Gufeng Avatar news, the SpongeBob marathon was pushed forward by a week. It will not be leading up to the Day of Black Sun.
Thank goodness.
But there still is the SpongeBob marathon. We were so mad that Nick played SpongeBob over and over and not Avatar. We were so mad about that at the time.
It didn't have enough episodes for syndication.
I mean, it wasn't.
I know
I'm
arguing with like 14-year-old Dylan right now, but.
No, so people think of SpongeBob as a classic, and I'm like not like this is why it's not as incredible in my mind, even though SpongeBob is still iconic to me. It's like because I had these negative feelings from Avatar.
That's
the
fair.
best thing was when you're watching Korra, and then there would be like a SpongeBob pop up, and like the Earth Queen is getting strangled to death. It's so funny.
It continues into Korra. This rivalry.
Like it's so good. Like I'm watching Korra at 10 a.m. and I'm like, why is SpongeBob here?
I gave this is about the Puppetmaster. I gave it a 9 out of 10. Mel gave it a 9.5 out of 10.
Whoa.
Other grades are also very high.
Mel is here with the correct opinions.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I would give it a 10 out of 10 now. Right. I'm speculating about when is Katara going to use bloodbending again to protect Aang, to kill Ozai. We were all wrong.
You were having thoughts. You were having thoughts.
We were all wrong, but yeah. I'm very focused on the plot and the invasion coming up. Thought segment on Zuko. I'm like, is Zuko gonna be Fire Lord? That was the thought. That was the first time it occurred to me. But we apparently my first theory was that Zhao was gonna be Fire Lord. That was my theory during book 1, apparently. And then we could do a round of predictions.
April, if you're not aware, Dylan is obsessed with Zhao.
Yes, that was the only Zhao reference that I heard. But I was obsessed. We did around the horn. Who's going to be the Fire Lord at the end of the series? What are our predictions? I said not Zuko because he's going to die. That was my prediction.
Okay, that's great. That's a great prediction.
It was a good
I love
prediction.
it.
Jake said Iroh. Mel
Okay,
said the
okay.
Mel said the Cabbage Merchant.
That was
So
a great
no one's
answer.
no one said Zuko. No one was predicting Zuko. But I did bring it up here. At the very least, credit to me. I was like, okay, I think this is actually an option now.
That's so funny.
In this podcast, we had the first scripted impromptu segment, which me,
Oh, Jesus
Jake,
Christ.
and Mel wrote an episode of Avatar that took place between 307 and 309. It was only
Yes.
dialogue. I thought it was kind of boring. I couldn't listen to the whole thing. But of course, it was about Aang not being able to go in Avatar state. Roku told him there's an alternative method to chakras. So that's what that was about.
Yeah, you have to make out with Katara, so it'll work. That's the
Okay,
answer.
so here's podcast 19 on November 17th, 2007. Me with Jake, Mel, Ruth, Abby, Steph, and Kevin. Kevin joined the main segment instead of having his own segment.
Oh.
I heard a Skype sound in the first 2 minutes of this podcast. That's a classic. Rip Skype.
Rest in peace, Skype.
R.I.P. Skype.
In Dong Wufang news, Jake was planning one of the biggest events in fandom history, which I don't know what that's referring to, but I guess we'll find out later.
Amazing.
Episode discussion. This is Nightmares and Daydreams. Everyone says it's filler. Even Kevin said it was filler.
Wow, Kevin with the
wow.
hot takes.
I said it was the funniest episode of the series, is what I said, which I think is a crazy take now. But
that is a crazy take.
We referenced Charlie Wake Up Sleepyhead. Is this a YouTube video? Is this a really old YouTube video? Is this the
so.
Charlie?
Are you talking like the Charlie?
Is this Charlie at the
bit my
dentist? Is that what we're
finger?
talking? Is it that Charlie?
Is it Charlie?
I'm gonna Google this for you.
Oh yeah, Sarah's here now. By the way,
Hi.
it'll come into
Hi.
play in a second. So we're referencing this. This must have existed in 2007. I said Forever Girl is the best line in the history of Avatar, no questions asked. And apparently I played it for half an hour on repeat. We're on like a Skype call and I played it on repeat or something. Okay, so here's why Sarah's here. So this is my wife Sarah, and in this podcast, someone says, I think if Dylan ever gets a girlfriend, he has to use the Forever Girl line.
Oh my God.
I said I already said I would. I promised in chat 2 weeks ago. Jake said, and he'll be single the next day. I said exactly. Mel said I could so imagine you doing it. Okay, so Sarah, I have something to say to you to pay off.
All right.
Sarah, baby, you're
20
my
years
forever
later.
girl. What's your reaction?
I mean, it's very hard to take seriously.
Silence.
Appropriate.
Wow, thanks.
Wow,
You're all
thanks.
the best.
Okay, that's
Thanks.
appropriate.
The best part,
I think
best
that's what Katara would have said. I think
the
that's
best
just
part is
true.
you waited until like she is your forever girl. You're married. It's like she's trapped. Like you.
That's
like,
true.
Yeah,
That's
you
true. It really
waited.
has to be before.
No escaping now.
It has to be
Yeah,
before.
like
Yeah.
it's too late.
So okay.
Yeah.
So I didn't
I
say
also
this.
We
When we,
didn't set this up very well.
yeah. I don't know if this
I
counts
will
as paying
say,
off.
It's really funny that me and Dylan are like such Katang people because both of our wives are Zutarians or were.
No, don't. Yeah.
Oh,
don't
that's
say
funny.
People are gonna bully me now.
Good.
Well,
it.
That's what you
Who's gonna
deserve.
bully you? I'll fight them.
We already discussed this with April earlier in the podcast at the very least. So, okay, here's the weekly. So, okay, I found a Hidden Zutara segment, the weekly Hidden Zutara from Mel. You can say, or you can go at this point. Okay, if you want to
I'm
listen
done
to
with
one of the,
you can leave.
if-
We love you, Sarah.
if you don't want to listen to Hidden Zutara, no, just stay.
Okay,
If you
I'll say.
if you don't want to, if you want to hear one of the original Hidden Zutaras from Mel,
Jesus Christ.
30 minutes 30 seconds into podcast 19.
Okay.
Mel says, when Aang and Katara kissed, Aang was tall. Zuko is tall. Therefore,
my
it
God.
foreshadows Katara
Shut
kissing Zuko. This has been your weekly Hidden Zutara. That's what Mel said.
That's
So there you go.
classic Hidden Zutara right there. That's what that
Shout
is.
out like 15-year-old Mel for
Classic.
being hilarious. Like
Oh, that
even
was
even
good.
then.
Oh my God.
And even by the way, even podcast 19, I said a caveat again. We're only making fun of canon Zutara, so I'm already like caveating for the that's there you go. There's a Jake's crack ship of the week segment, which I didn't know this
What?
was a segment. Momo, Sheep, and Appa was his crack ship of the week.
I think that
Oh.
might be real. I don't even think it's a crack ship. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Kevin was older than us. So this was more serious. Kevin thinks Nick was putting pressure on Avatar to make more standalone episodes. That's why there's so many in early season 3, which is interesting. I said I disagree.
Oh,
I don't think they did.
syndication.
I don't think they'd let Nick influence them that easily. And Jake pointed out that apparently he heard the previously on Avatars because Nick wanted them to have that. But anyway, I thought that was an interesting discussion. It's like, was the repeat wanting to repeat episodes affecting the format of the season, or was this what they wanted to do? Kind of unclear. Scores, I gave it a 9 out of 10, which is very aggressive for Nightmares and
That
Daydreams.
is hilarious for Nightmares and Daydreams. Oh my god.
Kevin didn't love it but refused to rate it. Abby gave it a 9. Jake gave it a 6.5. Mel gave it a 7. Steph gave it a 5.9. Ruth gave it an 8.5. There you go. And we had another
What a
scripted impromptu,
spread.
which was about Zuko, and I did not listen to that.
Sad.
There is the recap of that podcast. Okay.
I did
Beautiful.
one. I remember doing one scripted, and it was like me, Allie, and Mel. And I think we were actually. I don't even think it was some. I don't remember if it was something Mel wrote or if it was something or if it was just like an episode script. Like I don't remember.
Oh,
That was
Yeah,
during
I don't-
Forest Homes.
Yeah, these we did unscripted, which was like improv before these 2 podcasts, but then these we like wrote an episode. So this is probably some earliest Mel official author Mel.
I love
right?
it.
So the
Official.
I love it.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
So okay. Delaney, any final thoughts here?
I think the best part of this podcast, and maybe ever, was you bringing Sarah in for Baby You're My Forever Girl. This 20-year payoff was incredible.
I
It was
paid it off after
beautiful.
20 years. Thank you.
Is
Welcome.
so
everyone.
good. It's up there with my dad shaving his head to get back at my mom for cutting her hair so short.
You say that like that's a podcast thing, but you're saying in the pantheon of payoffs to things in Delaney's life. Okay.
Yes. Which is important, obviously. And my dad didn't care that my mom cut her hair, but she was like, her hair was like down to her butt, and they're in college, and she's like, I'm gonna get a haircut, and he's like, okay. And then she comes into class later because they're in college, and he's like, who is that? And then he's like, wait, that's my wife. Like,
That's my wife.
so then during COVID, he shaved his head after Tanya shaved her head because she inspired both of our dads.
Okay, so you explain this more of this was this was many years later.
Yeah.
Okay, now I understand.
Yeah, this
Okay.
is the 20-year payoff, and then my dad's bald, and my mom's like, okay, like that was. So she comes home from work, and my dad's bald. That the 20-year payoff.
That's like long-term
There you go.
revenge. I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, there you go. That was your only thought, Delaney?
I mean, these 2 episodes are great. I do think Nightmares and Daydreams is really funny, but I'm shook that you were like, obviously you're 14, but you being like, this is the funniest episode ever is like really funny.
I love that.
I
it
was
was
on
your
a high
favorite.
from the Forever Girl.
It's
too
obvious.
into it.
Yeah.
And it's really
Mhm.
good. I mean, I was locked in. Like I'm like, I forgot it was a dream. I was locked in.
Yeah.
But it tricked April on the rewatch.
Yeah, I was
That's
like,
so
it
good.
tricked me too. So
That's
I
so
was like,
good.
did this happen so soon? I don't remember that.
So funny.
April, what are your final thoughts here?
I think you're right. I think Puppetmaster is probably like one of the best episodes and one of my favorite episodes ever.
We got there, yeah.
We got there. Yay! We did it.
We did it. Good stuff.
I have something to say.
Yes, what are your final thoughts, Sarah?
Dylan,
Mm-hmm.
I will be your forever girl.
Yay!
Yay!
So what I was waiting for was I thought Sarah was going to tell Dylan that Dylan was her favorite.
Yeah, it could have been
what
that
I
too.
wanted to happen. It's also true, but like that's like I wasn't.
That's how we proposed. That was the story.
That's
in our minds.
exactly how it
that's what I'm gonna tell the people.
Yeah, that's
that's
what we'll tell our children or April's children. One of the
yes.
Perfect.
one of the two. Okay.
Not Delaney's children, because there's not going to be any.
Someone's at least one of the three of them
Someone's
has a
someone's
children.
child will understand this.
I'll go tell Figgy. Like, it's okay.
Yeah, we'll
Perfect.
tell Delaney's cat.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it for Runaway, Puppetmaster, and Nightmares and Daydreams. Let us know what you thought in the comments or the recap of the whole podcast. Let us know what you're liking from these. I think the next one won't be for a little bit, but we've been getting these. We're trying to get through these before the movie. I think we're still on a good pace for that. And you can support us via Patreon at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to our current patrons, especially our patron podcast, Kent. Thanks as always to our patron executive producers, Steve, Michael, and Phoenician. The Invasion is next. We are going to do the 2 parts of of Day of Black Sun without a 3rd episode is the current plan. And then we'll break up Boiling Rock. But there's no clean way to really do this. So that, like I said, won't be for a little while. But, what are we going to end on? Oh, by the way, we had the question, why are we ending on things in these early From the Spirit World podcasts? Podcast 17 to 19, no, we just say bye at the end together. But I skipped ahead to later book 3 podcasts, and we do start ending on something. So eventually we start that tradition. But yes, what phrase are we ending on here?
Baby, you're my forever girl.
Yes.
Obviously. As said many times. Thanks for listening, guys. 1, 2, 3. Baby, you're my
Baby,
forever
you're
girl.
my forever girl.